How do I get my stimulus check payment if I have SSI, a representative payee, have Direct Express, or Social Security? Also, what if I live outside the United States, and how do I get my questions answered? All this is coming up next.
Reach for the stars, 'cause we're aiming high.
Welcome back to another Blind to Billionaire video. This is Corey, and we're so glad to have you here. If you'd like to subscribe, please go ahead and do so down below. But I want to get right into this information because we have a lot of different topics to cover. We want to talk about the stimulus checks in reference to people who have SSI, Direct Express, Social Security, have a representative payee, live outside the United States, and also how do you get your questions answered like the best possible way. So let's get right into it. So if you have SSI, some things to note are that the stimulus checks are not considered as part of the payment that you receive, so they are excluded from resources for the 12 months. So if you get one, don't worry that it's going to mess up your SSI because it won't. The other thing is that the IRS has processed a lot, but not all of the stimulus payments to SSI recipients who are duly entitled to SSI and Social Security, and to SSI recipients if they filed a 2019 or 18 tax return. However, that's not everybody. So if you're an SSI recipient who did not file a 2019 or 18 return and who does not have a representative payee, you might receive your payment from the IRS by Direct Express or to your Direct Express card if you did not use the non-filers tool. If you did use the non-filers tool, you'll receive your payment to a non-Direct Express bank account that you provided. However, if you didn't provide the bank account, then you might receive it through the payment card or through a paper check. And they are processing paper checks for people who have SSI, and you'll receive your monthly SSI payment by paper check, and to recipients who use the non-filers tool but left that bank account information empty. So that's some information just so you kind of know. So for Social Security beneficiaries, the IRS has processed most but not all of the economic impact payments for people who receive Social Security, which includes retirement, survivors, and disability, so SSDI beneficiaries, whether you did or did not fill out a 2019 or 18 tax return, except for a beneficiary who did file a 2019 or 18 tax return who also has a representative payee, which we'll get into in a few minutes. And if the beneficiary used the non-filers tool, the IRS is processing payments weekly, even if the beneficiary may have a representative payee. So, what about people who have a representative payee? If you filed a 2019 or 18 tax return, your $1,200 stimulus check was sent to the bank account provided on your tax return for an electronic tax refund, or mailed to the address provided on your tax return if a tax refund was mailed and if there was no refund. However, if you did not file a 2018 or 19 tax return, an individual representative payee should receive your payment to the same direct deposit account or Direct Express card as your monthly Social Security or SSI payment comes. The mailing of the paper checks to the payees is currently happening. And if you're part of an organizational representative payee, the schedule above is the same, except the payee may receive the stimulus check either electronically or by a paper check in the mail. So I feel like this is a lot of information, and hopefully this is helpful. I guess what we're kind of going to get into in a few minutes is, what do you do if this hasn't happened for you yet? How can you get more information? And we will get there. I want to talk about if you have Direct Express next. So if you have Direct Express, so this is kind of what happens. So if you used or use the non-filer tool to enter your dependent information, you will not receive your automatic $1,200 payment on your Direct Express card. You will receive both your $1,200 payment and each child's $500 payment on a non-Direct Express bank account that you provide, or by mail if you leave that blank, and only if the IRS has not already processed your $1,200 payment. If you started receiving Social Security, like retirement, survivors, or SSDI disability, or SSI before January 1st, 2020, and you did not file a tax return in 2019 or 18, and you have a qualifying child under 17, Your deadline established by the IRS to enter the information in its non-filer tool has passed, but you will receive your automatic $1,200 stimulus payment on your Direct Express card, but you will need to file a tax return next year to get the $500 payment per qualifying child. Social Security and SSI recipients who started receiving their monthly benefits on or after January 1st, 2020 may still use the non-filer tool for their qualifying child. So that's kind of good information to know. Again, it's kind of a lot of information, but we just want to give you kind of everything we have. So there's been a few different people in the channel who are from either a U.S. territory such as some American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, the Northern Mariana Islands, or the U.S. Virgin Islands, and they are eligible for an economic impact payment, and they want to know, like, what about us? Like, how do we get it, and how does this work? So there are special rules that apply to beneficiaries living in the U.S. territories. In general, the tax authority in each territory, not the IRS, will pay the stimulus check to eligible residents based on information the IRS will provide to the territories. It is anticipated that beneficiaries in the territories could begin receiving their stimulus checks in early June, so that might be why you haven't received it yet, although it's late June or mid-June now. Well, it's kind of getting to late June. That might be why you haven't received it yet, because they just started in June for you. People should contact their local tax authority with questions about these payments. Please note their website may use the term economic impact payment or stimulus payment, and this is for American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, the Northern Mariana Islands, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. But this is really a common question too that we've been getting, is what if I live outside the United States and not in a U.S. territory? How and when will I get my economic impact payment or my stimulus check? Social Security beneficiaries with a foreign address whose monthly payment is deposited in a foreign bank will receive their stimulus by paper check in the mail, not the IRS. Because the IRS does not deposit money into foreign accounts. The IRS anticipates it will start mailing these checks no later than July 24th. So July 24th is in a month from now. So if you live outside the U.S., that's probably why you haven't seen your stimulus check yet. Beneficiaries living abroad who receive their monthly benefit through a domestic bank should receive their stimulus by direct deposit to the same account on or about July 24th. So if you live outside the U.S., and you fall into these categories, it's going to be a little while still, though hopefully prior to July 24th. So a lot of you still are like, okay, well, you said a lot of words, you didn't really answer my question. So what I want to do is give you some information about how you can get your questions answered and, related to your specific situation. I guess if you're somebody who receives SSI, receives Social Security, either disability survivors or retirement, and you're like, I haven't gotten my stimulus check yet, I don't understand why. If you do or don't have a representative payee, if you have a representative payee, you should ask your representative payee or your organizational representative payee, like, what's going on? If maybe they have received your check, if maybe they haven't. If you've received a letter from, I believe it's Donald Trump, if you've received this letter, it's supposed to come 14 days after your stimulus check arrives, and you've received that letter but no stimulus check, you should probably call the IRS to figure out why you didn't get it. It could be that the money was taken out of your check by a third party, either child support or a bill, like a debt collector type person. Maybe you were claimed as a dependent by somebody, something totally out of your control that you weren't expecting. That's a super bummer, but that we want to figure out what the heck is going on with it. So if you have questions that we didn't answer, and I'm sure that there's a ton, this is what the SSA.gov is suggesting you do to get your questions answered. So you can find answers to most of your stimulated related questions on the IRS's Economic Payment Information Center webpage. So go to the IRS.gov and go to their Economic Payment Information Center webpage, or on this webpage. So you can hyperclick a link in SSA.gov under the Economic Impact Payment section. If you do not see the answer to your question, this is the number that they are giving for you to call. You can call the IRS's your EIP hotline, so the Internal Revenue Services Economic Impact Payment Hotline at, and I'm going to also leave this in the bottom, 1-800-919-9835. And the Social Security, they just wanted you to know, administration cannot answer questions about the stimulus checks because they do not issue the stimulus checks. So I hope this information was helpful. I know it's a lot. I know the answer is always just like, when am I going to get my money? The answer is, if you live outside the US, it should be before July 24th. If you live in the United States and you haven't gotten it, you should probably call the IRS. So I hope that this helps. It was so nice to see you all today, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
You can't wait to see me now, 'cause lately you